The Gambler's Ruin Project MLS Matchday, August 30th, 2025. Gambling equals risk. SmartBet AI powers everything you're about to hear, but nothing eliminates variance. Stick to the golden rule, the 2% bankroll rule. Bet small, bet disciplined, and always bet responsibly.
All right, folks, let's head north to Gillette Stadium, where the leaves are already thinking about turning, the humidity's gone on vacation, and for once, the wind won't be playing referee. Kickoff temperature, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind gusts, barely tickling 7 miles per hour. No rain, no excuses.
This is clean sheet weather, Anna. If you're a backline, this is what you dream of. No heat to zap your legs, no soggy turf, and no weird wind curling your clearance into the 18-yard box.
Basically, if someone concedes a soft goal in this game, you can't blame God, the earth, or the clouds. That one's on your centre-back.
And as far as injuries go, it's a one-sided report. New England are clean. No knocks, no limps, nothing but tape and caffeine.
Charlotte, on the other hand, are missing Drake Callender. That's not just a backup. That's their presumed first-choice keeper, sidelined. And when your goalkeeper's out, you're not just losing shot stopping, you're potentially scrambling set-piece communication, backline chemistry, and that first pass out of the press.
Yeah, that's the difference between an elite distribution restart and a panic punt into midfield.
But this is also Charlotte we're talking about. A team that's developed a habit of bending, breaking, then suddenly reinventing themselves on the road.
They're a cipher. You think you've solved them, and then they show up in New England with a false 9 and a vengeance.
All right, let's flip open the math journal.
AKA the part where Kateryna reminds us that vibes are irrelevant.
Only until they align with the data.
So here's what the models say. Poisson regression, the clean, transparent benchmark, predicts 1.39 goals for New England and 1.37 goals for Charlotte. That's a decimal dust-up. No meaningful separation.
And when we rerun it with bootstrapped Poisson, incorporating sampling variance and uncertainty, we get an average of 1.44 for the Revs and 1.34 for Charlotte. Still inside the margin of noise.
This is statistical Switzerland. Even the models are neutral.
Exactly. From a pure goals perspective, this match is a coin flip wrapped in a stalemate. Both teams are forecasted between 1.3 and 1.4 goals, which means the final result is probably going to hinge on one thing: execution in chaos moments.
Which ironically is the one thing neither of these teams is particularly good at.
So what's that mean for bettors listening right now?
It means you shouldn't pretend there's a crystal clear favourite. This is one of those matches where betting on either side to win outright is inherently volatile. If you're playing this game, you're not looking for certainty. You're looking for edge cases.
Which ironically is the one thing neither of these teams is particularly good at.
So what's that mean for bettors listening right now?
Okay, so the Poisson models have left us shrugging. What about the heavier artillery, the machine learners?
This is where it gets weird. The Random Forest and GBM models, two of our most interpretable ML methods, are both calling for a New England win.
Forest loves the home soil, big shocker.
But like GBM and MLP, our deep learners, both go the other way. They favour Charlotte.
Any idea why the split?
Forest and GBM rely more heavily on historic form and surface-level indicators. ELO, recent win-loss trends, market lean. They see the Revs at home with clean health and decent XG form and go, cool, chalk it up to the home side.
Whereas the MLP and light GBM are out here running simulations in 5-dimensional space.
Exactly. They're finding interactions between metrics that wouldn't jump out to a simpler tree-based learner, like how Charlotte perform with a high line against mid-block presses, or how their away XG overperformance correlates with certain weather and pitch types.
And the Ensemble?
The Forest leans toward Foxborough, but the stack points south.
That's actually accurate.
All right, let's step out of the spreadsheet and into the theatre, because this is one of those fixtures where the models might be smart, but the story is smarter. You've got Charlotte, who play like a haunted opera house when they're in away kits. One week they drop a 3-0 stunner on the road, next week they forget how to cross the halfway line.
Don't forget the infamous Peach Kit collapse.
That still haunts our Google Sheets.
And you've got New England, who have one of the league's weirdest home energy shifts. Sometimes Gillette feels like a fortress. Other nights, it's a soft launch runway for visiting midfields.
This feels like one of those nights where Gillette turns into a vacuum. The kind of game where every loose ball just disappears into midfield purgatory.
I actually think that works in Charlotte's favour. If New England don't press, they get passive. And if Charlotte can pull their fullbacks up and start switching early, you're suddenly forcing New England to cover more horizontal space than they're comfortable with.
True. And Charlotte's one of the few teams in the East whose crossing map gets more dangerous the farther from goal you go.
But here's the kicker. Charlotte don't finish well. Their XG delta is perennially negative. So even if they dominate field position, the question becomes, who's finishing the meal?
This game has momentum trap written all over it. Whichever team scores first is probably going to look like the better side. Not because they are, but because the other team can't chase games efficiently.
And that, my friends, is why betting live on this one might be the only sane way to do it.
Alright, so models split, narrative swirl, and we need to plant a flag, Kateryna.
I'm siding with the Ensemble here. Not because Charlotte are dominant, they're not, but because New England don't create enough edge at home to justify how the market is pricing them. The stack models favour Charlotte on a probability tilt of about 39% win, 32% draw, 29% loss. And that's good enough for value.
Translation: the bookies see red, the models see indigo.
I'm going double chance. Charlotte or draw. These are two evenly matched sides with different flaws, but Charlotte's away volatility, weirdly, plays better into Gillette's passive midfield trap.
Throw in a long shot play on one. 2 Charlotte. Or, for the truly unhinged, both teams to score, but under 2.5 total. That's the chaos corner bet.
And remember, this game is low-key allergic to clean sheets. Over 1.5 goals has hit in 9 of the last 10 between these sides. It's a tilt defined by probabilistic entropy. No chaos, no magic, just razor-thin edges hiding in wide-open space.
Or, to say it simpler, someone's going to score in the 82nd minute and ruin everyone's ticket.
We would like to pass along a PSA from our friends at Radio Free America, who have a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied DC. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. Wake up, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there, on or behind the lines, this episode is for you.
Alright, pack your trench coats and your tactical notebooks. We're heading to Harrison, New Jersey, where the New York Red Bulls host the Columbus Crew in a fixture that smells like anxiety and unfinished business.
And we've got that classic northeastern humidity that clings to you like a marking fullback. Weather at kickoff, low 60s, slightly overcast, no rain, but the air will feel heavier than it looks.
Which means pressing teams, and we're looking right at you Red Bulls, are going to be sucking wind by the 60th.
Injury sheets are surprisingly kind this time. No catastrophic losses on either side, but both coaches are still juggling rotations. The Crew have been tinkering with midfield depth all month, and New York is, well, New York.
By which you mean allergic to offensive consistency.
I mean, they're a caffeine-addled swarm that forgets what to do once the ball gets past the opposition's 18-yard box.
Alright, Kat, let's cut through the noise. Give us the raw statistical pulse.
The models have finally taken a stance. And this time, the lean isn't subtle. Let's start with the Poisson regression baseline. The expected goals are New York Red Bulls, 1.95 goals, Columbus Crew, 1.35 goals.
That's a shift, almost a full 0.6 goal gap. For a match this tight, that's like shouting in a library.
Exactly. Now, the bootstrapped Poisson model confirms the lean. Home goals, 1.99 away goals, 1.42, with confidence intervals stretching from 0 to 5 for the Red Bulls and 0 to 4 for Columbus.
So high ceiling, wide volatility, but clear centroids. Red Bulls edge it both ways.
Yes, and unlike last week's foggy middle ground, this is a statistical lean with volume. Across 10,000 Poisson-based simulations, Red Bulls win roughly 51%, draw comes in at 22%, and Columbus wins 27%. It's not dominant, but it's a defined edge.
Not a landslide, but definitely a lean that matters.
And it's mirrored by the base modelling logic. Home advantage and goal-scoring form are finally working in tandem. Red Bull's ELO adjusted strength, combined with rest advantage and consistent availability, pushes their scoring potential past their season average.
So we're no longer looking at a 50-50ths or 33-33-33. The signal is weighted.
Exactly. This is what we call a tiered tilt. The margin isn't massive, but it's reliable across methods. Even if the variance remains high, and it does, the base expectations lean home.
Alright, how does the machine vision stack it up?
This is where the split becomes meaningful. Random Forest predicts an away win, while GBM leans toward a Red Bulls win. GBM values home advantage, physicality metrics, and rest differential. Red Bulls have had an extra 2 days off.
They're fresh-legged and overly caffeinated, dangerous combo.
But like GBM says Draw and MLP, the deeper neural and boosting models shift toward Columbus, especially when you weight in chance quality, midfield transition speed, and defensive line recovery.
Classic Red Bulls. They start hot, fade fast, and get caught in behind.
And it's worth noting that Columbus's wide overloads and third-man runs are exactly the kind of movement Red Bulls tend to struggle with, especially if they press high and leave space behind the fullbacks.
And finally, the Ensemble model. Deadlock broken. It leans, slightly, toward a home win, but it's a weak lean. The model's basically saying, we know someone's gonna win, but we wouldn't bet rent money on picking who.
In other words, probabilistic shrug.
This is a psychological game disguised as a tactical one. Red Bulls are in that identity loop. Press-heavy, shot-shy, defensively brave, but offensively confused. They win matches by exhausting teams and pouncing on bad clearances.
But Columbus, they don't clear, they circulate.
They're almost arrogant in how they hold the ball under pressure.
And they should be. Their pass completion under press is second best in MLS right now. That's not accidental, it's baked into their spine.
Here's what I see. Red Bulls fly out of the gate, pin Columbus back, maybe even nick a set-piece goal. But if they don't convert by the 30-minute mark, crew settle in, start threading triangles, and the whole match shifts left.
Basically, it's a matter of when, not if, the midfield tilts.
And remember, Columbus doesn't mind slow build. Their tempo is intentional. They wait for that one mismatch, that one late runner from deep who ghosts past a tired pivot.
It's calculated patience, death by 500 passes.
Okay, decision time, what are we backing?
The Ensemble stack says home win, and I support that. It's not sexy, but it's calibrated. Red Bulls have the intensity, Columbus has the orchestration, and both have a tendency to underperform their expected conversion in games with playoff pressure.
I'm calling 2-1. An early goal for Red Bulls, then set-piece chaos goal for Red Bulls, late runner goal for crew, then a whole lot of passing and regret.
I'm with the models. Low scoring, midfield heavy, and very little resolution until deep into the second half. A Red Bull win, 1-0.
If you're going to bet this one, go with market inefficiencies, not match result. Here are your edges. Under 2.5 goals is undervalued in most markets. Models show just a 38% chance of 3+ goals. Both teams to score, yes, has a mild edge. Probability is tilde 57% across simulations. Draw, an under 2.5 parlay is your sharp contrarian play.
That's the slow poison special.
And don't bother with corners, too much transition variance.
Alright, before we close the ledger on this episode, it's time for our final audit. Kat, what do the models really think once we pull back and look at the full match slate?
Well, it's a tale of 2 signals and 1 flashing hazard light.
Sounds like my dating history.
We ran 2 ensemble predictions tonight. One for New England versus Charlotte, the other for Red Bulls versus Columbus.
How often did the models agree?
Only once. Charlotte versus New England was the only match with a majority ensemble consensus. And even that was by a hair. The ensemble leaned Charlotte, but the margin was narrow. The models split 2-2, and the stack edged toward the visitors on deep interaction patterns and away volatility.
In other words, a whisper, not a roar.
Now look at Red Bulls versus Columbus. Every individual model pointed in a different direction. Ultimately, the ensemble predicted a win for the Red Bulls.
And what does that mean for risk appetite?
It means volatility is high. These are what we call algorithmic knife fights, where the models are trained on the same data, exposed to the same variables, and still can't form a stable agreement. That's when we know variance is loud and confidence is low.
You don't bet the house when your GPS says maybe turn left 4 times in a row.
Exactly. These are not high-confidence plays. They're strategic coin flips. The smartest angle isn't to chase a winner, it's to lean into derivative markets, totals, both teams to score, late goal props.
So if you're building a slip,
you build it soft. 1 or 2 singles, maybe a long odds flyer on a scoreline you like. But this isn't parlay territory, not tonight.
Unless you're into chaos. Then by all means let your slip be a battlefield.
That's the math. That's the message.
And that's your final reminder. We're not here to tell you what will happen, just what might happen more often than the market thinks.
And this week, the edge is thin, the margin's tight, and the data's fighting itself.
Smart Bet AI powers the picks, but you control the stake. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and above all, bet responsibly.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Gambler's Ruin Project. Remember, our content is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and all predictions are AI generated. Gambling can be addictive, so please bet responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help with gambling addiction, there are resources that can provide support. In North America, contact the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700, available 24/7 for confidential help. In the UK, reach out to BeGambleAware at 08088 and 2133, or visit begambleaware.org for more information and support. Bet smart, bet safe, and as always, remember to keep things fun and balanced. We'll see you next week for more insights. Thanks again for joining us. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more AI-driven predictions and pro betting tips every week. Disclaimer: this content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The predictions and insights provided by the Gambler's Ruin Project, powered by SmartBet AI technology, are generated using statistical models and historical data. These predictions do not guarantee outcomes and should not be considered financial or betting advice. Always gamble responsibly and only wager what you can afford to lose. If you or someone you know is struggling with gambling addiction, seek help from professional support services. Legal notice: this content does not constitute an offer to participate in gambling. The Gambler's Ruin Project does not operate as a bookmaker or betting service and does not encourage gambling. All users are responsible for complying with local laws and regulations regarding sports betting and gambling-related content in their respective jurisdictions. The Gambler's Ruin Project, where the odds get cracked.